Sure. Cool. Sir.
Is the mask actually going to hide my features? Is it really necessary?
It's only going to be for the first like 5 minutes. And then after that, I'll ask you a question. What do you think the mask is for? It can be for our costumes, and then we'll take it off. And yeah, it's only because, like I said, the idea is that we can be open about us talking about either polyamory or not monogamy or nudity and be out in space, but there's a lot of people that can't. So
Let's save it because I think this is good content.
yeah. Content.
Steamer.
All right, so first we're going to talk about why. So what's going to happen is this: I'm going to do an intro, like after we talk about like why we're masked up, what the costumes is, so you can get a better understanding. And then I'm gonna cut it, but I'm gonna do an intro, and that's gonna be the intro of the show. But I need to be naked when I do that. So
Yeah, just do whatever you need to do.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, cool. So it's gonna be like a verse. All right, starting off. So we're gonna do the mask, but then in the intro of us being naked, it's gonna. Yeah, I'll give you guidance. All right. So starting off, we're masked up right now. So I just want to ask you one question, John. Why do you think we're masked up and in what we are calling our costumes right now?
Yeah, I guess there are two separate questions to me. So why we're wearing costumes would be one, and then why we're masked up is the other. The immediate thought I have with the mask is that maybe there's still some social stigmas around nakedness, physical nakedness, even other forms of nakedness. There's a high level of vulnerability that comes with that.
Oh no. Bro. There we go. out. It's two. There you go, there you go. All right, talk.
Test, 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 test.
Okay, cool. All right, now we're good. All right, try it again. All right. All right. So, why do you think we're masked up and in what we're calling costumes at this point?
Yeah, so I had the same question in terms of the mask. I think part of it just comes down to what is still possibly a social stigma around nakedness. So, um, there's a lot of vulnerability, number one, with nakedness, but there's also some social risks involved, I guess, with exposing yourself in that way with respect to, people that have certain jobs, city or something like that, or something that carries a higher risk of, these sorts of potential consequences in the public space. Maybe there are certain risks involved, but also I think just nakedness as a whole, be it physical nakedness or emotional nakedness, it can feel scary for people. So I think a mask can sometimes offer a little feeling of safety and comfort for people before they to kind of like ease in to the practice itself. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, the whole direction of this isn't just because that's just one component of why we're wearing the mask is, and we'll talk about it too because you have a more open perspective when it comes to you talking about polyamory to other people, and that stigma not as much being there for you. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I mean, that's what we talked about. So it's not even just like nudity, but it's also talking about having this shame and guilt and the fear of talking about STDs, herpes, and also, yeah, people not being able to speak on this because of family and societal judgment, or people putting their career at risk, or goddamn spiritual ostracization, or just they feel like they have to suppress themselves. So there will be environments where I'm creating myself of events where they'll be recorded, but people will be able to speak their truth with the mask on. With us, we're about to be getting naked very soon. But in general, we'll be able to, this is just the symbolism to, for ski mask wise, is to what I say is hold the truth for ransom. And it's not to hide, but it's to be seen. And it's to be able to, yeah, start the conversation and have people question, like, what is that? Not just for attention, but just to have people question, like, what their values and morals and beliefs are and what that means. And so this is bigger symbolism to say, why do people judge? And also that's on the back end, but also on our end, and a lot of people in our community for them to be able to speak their truth at a high level without fucking feeling like their whole life's gonna come crashing down. So that being the case,
Could I ask you a follow-up question? to
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Do you think in the long-term vision for people and society, do you think it like eventually the masks could or would or it's better for them to become unnecessary in the long term? Or do you think the masks always hold a certain importance in terms of maybe like my personal exposing my personal identity along with my nakedness isn't as relevant as just allowing myself to be naked regardless of my personal identity? Like what are your thoughts on that in terms of is the mask an essential component to this in the long-term vision? Or do you think it offers a benefit in the long term for humanity to be able to demask?
I think it's a very powerful statement to say that people make a comparison, but people in the zoo are wearing invisible masks, and that we are choosing to wear the mask so we can have the opportunity to, yeah, long term, be able to have people come into this space and be able to, yeah, speak what's right for them. I think it is going to be beneficial long term when it comes to events and in general, and hopefully we won't need to wear masks. But I think there's a lot of people wearing masks already, and we're just symbolizing the fact that the mask that we're wearing is what's actually happening already. This is what people do in everyday space. They wear masks with everything, the way they go about their living situation, the way they go about themselves socially, the way they go about themselves in work dynamic, the way they go about their family world. So yeah, I do believe long term that this is gonna be the opportunity. It's gonna be a fun thing. Like right now, it's like ski mask, and it feels like it's like kind of intense, but it's gonna be a fun thing. Of people like in costumes that represent the stigma that represents them,
Mm.
and I don't have my fucking pink Power Ranger suit. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. But today, this is more of a representation of my everyday that I live. But the pink Power Ranger suit, what I would be wearing, is more of just the sacred play that I like to bring out of myself. You know, the child that's within me. But this is more of an expression of myself because I don't have the pink Power Ranger. I'm so bad. But yeah, long term, I definitely see that the case. But you said that you wore the spandex for
Yeah, I wore my Nike Under Armour today, both for this and also I went out to lunch like this.
okay.
And I'm also wearing my two wristbands, which represent two sort of just juxtaposing aspects of myself as well.
Mm.
And so the spandex and the tank top specifically for me represent two contrasting aspects of my personality.
Mm.
I tend to, a stigma that I find myself challenged with a lot is stigmas around masculinity, traditional masculinity. And so for me, the Nike Under Armour, specifically wearing these in public, it can be very challenging, even for me as somebody who feels relatively comfortable in my body and somebody who really, really does want to break down those barriers of this concept of traditional masculinity. And so for me specifically, I have this conception around the traditional man as being somebody who wears loose shorts, baggy shorts. And so for me, being able to one kind of like be proud of my body, be proud in my body, and also expose a more like feminine aspect of myself and embrace it,
Mm.
that allows me to do that with the bottom half of myself. And then with the top half of myself, I can still embrace an aspect of myself that does have a component of masculine, like, maybe traditional masculinity, but just being able to expose myself in a more traditionally masculine light. And so I have these two contrasting aspects to my wear, at least today.
Mm.
In general, I do like to wear more tight-fitting clothes because I feel like it allows me to embrace my form,
Mm.
and be proud of my form, and also just showcase it to the world in that way. Like I don't have to fit a traditional mold of what a male is supposed to look like. I can just be myself and be proud of that.
Mm.
And then in terms of my bracelets, obviously I'm wearing the LGBT colors on my left, and on my right I'm wearing what I like to call the straight bracelet.
Like you both got the straight face.
Hey, we both got a straight bracelet today. Hey, there we go. Rock on. And so I also like to, I am a believer in balance of the spirit. And so, we have these, I think within all of us, we have these sort of just juxtaposing aspects of ourselves that sometimes fight each other for contention.
Mhm.
And my question, I think sometimes with myself and a challenge I have is how do I find the dialectic between those two things? Like how do I get those two things to meet in the middle to where both of those can exist peaceably and equitably? And so I am an LGBT ally. I'm in a couple of gay communities where I live. I'm in full support of this community, and I'm still straight. And so both of these aspects are important to me, and it's important for me both within myself and within the larger community to be able to reconcile those two things and to have them coexist.
Yeah, no, I think it would be. I say that I'm a bisexual wannabe, but I think we both can understand and agree to be able to be in these spaces and it not need to be this highly sexual or even this weird situation where we're in these either naked spaces or with gay
Yeah,
men or and
yeah,
and being able just to be able to express and connect and
yeah.
that freedom of that. So I think that's important.
It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah.
I love being in spaces like that, and I'm so glad that specifically we're also like this has a component of nudity and nakedness to it,
Mhm.
because nakedness is in a way of like shedding that skin, of being able to connect with people on a visceral, pure level. And you know I think there is stigma, as you're saying, I think, is that, usually nakedness is directly symbolic of or directly correlated to being sexual with somebody. And I think there is something to be said for like, you can be in a platonic space with people, a platonic loving space with people, and feel hyper connected to people while still being naked.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, sometimes that helps bring people together in an even more pure form and helps people to talk about those things.
Oh yeah. Well, seeing that nakedness is what we're on, saying what we're gonna do, it's our time to get naked.
All right.
Let's do it. All right,
Are we doing it?
2 seconds. Very close.
Are we doing it right now?